Radio Live. With the latest from News Hub, Aroha Hathaway.
Kia ora, good evening, it's 8 o'clock. An experienced aviation security officer has come forward to blow the whistle on what he claims are serious safety deficiencies at the country's border. The officer says dangerous items are slipping through because of pressure on workers. He spoke to News Hub's Michael Mora and his voice was altered to protect his identity.
AFC aren't giving us the staff that we need to be able to do our job 110%.
And because of that, you're missing dangerous goods?
We are missing dangerous goods.
The staff member also claims there are ongoing problems with employees facing harassment. South African Paralympic gold medalist Oscar Pistorius has arrived in court to hear his new sentence for murder. The 29-year-old double amputee Olympic runners hugged members of his legal team and family. He faces a possible 15-year jail term after his conviction was changed to murder for shooting model girlfriend Reva Steenkamp in 2013. Back home, and medical experts have been assessing a man arrested in South Auckland after a bomb scare. He's accused of threatening mental health workers with a bomb. A 200-metre cordon was enforced around a Henwood Road property in Māngere, but Inspector Kerry Watson says the man was found elsewhere.
Whilst we were clearing that address, we received information that the person we sought was at a business address in Papakura. We then turned our attention to the address that possibly homemade explosives were present at.
No charges have been laid so far, and police won't say if any explosives were found. A rugby league team says it's deeply saddened by the loss of one of its own, a 21-year-old player fatally beaten outside a Lower Hutt party. Police are now treating the death in Nainai last weekend as a homicide. A 27-year-old man's already been charged with assault. More than 2,000 people have signed a petition calling for the government to apologise to gay men convicted for having consensual sex. It comes in the week New Zealand marks 30 years since the law that criminalised them changed, and Parliament will this evening mark the anniversary of the Homosexual Law Reform Act. Overseas, the death toll from the weekend bombing of a Shiite neighbourhood in the Iraqi capital of Baghdad has now climbed to 250. The Islamic State militant group claims it's behind the attack, the deadliest since the US-led invasion of Iraq about 13 years ago. And the waiting game continues in Australia as the vote count carries on 4 days after the election. News Hub's Sophie Lowry reports from Sydney.
Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull remains confident the remaining votes will fall his way and he'll reach the magic number of 76, the number of seats to form a majority government. Overnight, 2 seats were claimed by Turnbull's coalition. It's now on 70 seats to Labour's 67. But just in case the vote count doesn't go his way, Turnbull is personally overseeing negotiations with independents and possible kingmakers if there's a hung parliament. The Electoral Commission is warning the final result will be some days away. In Sydney, Sophie Lowry, News Hub.
It's 8:04.
News Hub on Radio Live with the Bridgestone Tyre Centre, 200 St Asaph Street, between Colombo and Manchester. Now sport.
A switch for Chiefs flanker Sam Cane for Friday night Super Rugby match against the Reds. Coach Dave Rennie's shifted Cane to number 8, allowing Lachlan Boshier to play on the open side.
He's finished a couple of games at 8 for us, really, with Talini going into lock. Yeah, it was an opportunity to have a little bit of a shift there. We've been really happy with Lockie, and pretty much having 2 sevens on the field from a tackle, post-tackle point of view, I think will be really good for us.
Aaron Cruden's back at first 5. Stephen Donald drops out of the 23 altogether, while Tawera Kurbalo's at 9. Dropped All Black Sevens contender Liam Messon will be starting off the bench. And Wales isn't focusing on Portuguese superstar Cristiano Ronaldo ahead of tomorrow's semi-final at the European Football Championship. The Real Madrid striker's an ever-present threat for captain Ashley Williams.
It's obvious that he's one of the greatest players in the world, but they do have other weapons as well in their team, so we won't, we're not obsessing over him. I think we do our work and we pay them the respect that they deserve, and we'll try and nullify them as a team as we have done all tournament.
The winner of tomorrow's match will play either hosts France or world champions Germany in the final. It's 8:05.
News Hub Sport on Radio Live with Harcourt's Grenadier REAA 2008, delivering outstanding results.
There's a 3-letter word ending in X on the tip of everyone's tongue lately. Tax. For honest folk like yourselves, you don't need to hide money offshore like a villain in a movie, when chances are the IRD actually has your money. You see, my tax has found that 9 out of 10 tax-paying Kiwis are owed a refund. Go online to mytax.co.nz and see if you've got a refund waiting. The hero of this story is a 5-letter word, also ending in X. A handsome forthright word that rolls off the tongue. mytax.co.nz.
Air New Zealand's 24-hour Aussie sale is on now with great deals between Christchurch and Sydney. Fly seat from just $149 one way. Sale ends midnight tonight. Card payment fee, travel periods and conditions apply. Book now at airinz.co.nz.
Take on winter with Scobie tyres. Big savings on new four-wheel drive and car tyres. A-grade used tyres start from only $59. For wheel alignments, batteries and huge tyre savings, call 0800 Scobie. Scobie tyres, 40 Parkhouse Road, Sockburn.
Radio Live, South Canterbury, 89.9 FM weather.
For the top half of the North Island, areas of cloud or fog turning to rain and then heavy falls for the rest of the North Island, some patchy rain. For the top of the South Island, fine, and then some rain moves in. For the lower South Island, the opposite, rain, which is gradually clearing. Radio Live Christchurch, weather mostly fine, increasing cloud, light winds into the low of 1. Looking ahead, often cloudy with some fine breaks in the afternoon and a high of 11.
Nights are better with Karyn Hay.
Aroha, thank you very much and good evening. It's 6 minutes after 8. It is Karyn Hay. I'm here till midnight. It's Wednesday night, the middle of the week, and we are welcoming back Max Whitehead and Your Employment Law tonight. Hi, Max.
Hi, Karyn.
How are you fitting in with the weekly?
Oh, it's wicked
slot.
Wednesday to me now. Look, it's the time I can tell the public about all those badasses out there that really, make employment difficult and miserable.
And that's employees and employers.
Oh, they both at it. It's good, bad guys everywhere. Occasionally there's a good guy, like you and me, of course, but there are a lot of good guys out there too, but I seem to see the worst.
Do you? Well, I suppose
so.
You do, because they're all coming to you and complaining. You don't have any really good news stories, do you?
Well, I get those that have been abused too, because a lot of the workers are really frightened to take their employer on or don't have the resources. So there's a bit of that.
That's very, very difficult unless you've got a union supporting you.
And then there's the workers that walk around like they've got a 6-gun on their side, and that's a PG. Hey, boss, step out of line, man. I'll fire this off at you anytime.
Yes, and I can see that as well. Okay, so both sides of the coin. 0800 844 747. You might be an employer, you might be an employee, you might have a question about employment law, and Max covers all bases. He's an employment law expert, so he can talk to you about, help you out, advise you on anything from sick leave through to holiday pay, through to the 90-day trial period, which is in Newby the Judge. We'll just kick things off tonight. The number here is 0800 844 747. It's your hour. Please take advantage of it. He's here to advise you, help you. Any questions that you might have about employment law from any perspective, 0800 844 747. But and you be the judge, just to get us started. This is about the 90-day trial period, isn't it? What an interesting case. I had a quick skim read of this.
Yes, it is interesting.
Really fascinating in regard to, what happened to the contract? ... Okay, so tell us, Max.
We should have music to this.
Dun.
The drama. Okay, this has actually been to the Employment Authority, and then it got appealed onto the court. So, some of the authority decisions are pretty wacky sometimes, and so I'd like your views on it before we tell you what the court did to it. So there's an organisation called Modern Transport, and the manager's Mr. Anand. And he offered Mr. Phillips employment and gave him a standard employment agreement which had a 90-day trial period clause in it. Now, what they've said is the trial period clause was valid because the writing of those clauses is paramount. Also, it was signed prior to him starting. So there's a couple of little rules there that
all done and dusted, but good, in a good way. Okay,
pure to that sense.
Right. So he agreed he was going to sign up for a 90-day trial period. Modern Transport gave him the contract. He trotted away from the office. They signed it, both of them, and he started work.
Then 42 days later,
yes,
the boss says to him, "Sorry."
Mr. Annan says, "Mr. Phillips,
it's not working out.
No reason we have to give you either."
Yep, we don't have to give you any reason. It's a 90-day trial period. You're gone. But the thing was, it really astonished him. Immediately, Mr. Phillips said to him, "I want to see my contract." And then he challenged him, "Do you have a copy of it?"
Really?
And of course, the employer goes, "Well, yeah, it's in the files."
When you brought it back, I put it in the files. You've got one, haven't you?
Yeah.
Right.
Trots off downstairs to get it.
Mm-hmm.
comes back and says it's missing, and so's your file.
His whole file was missing.
Yeah.
His personal file and the contracts were missing, but didn't Mr. Phillips keep one? Or did he bring both copies back?
Says because the office manager says, I sent him one in the mail, Miss Kennington.
Oh, yes. So Ms. Kennington was brought in and said...
She brings Eck on.
So she was brought in by Mr. Annan and said, Ms. Kennington, did you send Mr. Phillips a copy of his contract? She said, yes, I did. And I posted it to him.
And then he says, the file's missing. Where is it? And then she gave evidence to say, in 13 years in her role, no file's ever gone missing. So not only his contract went missing, his entire file had gone missing.
From their side, and also New Zealand Post are to blame as well because they didn't deliver the contract that Ms. Kennington said.
Yes, allegedly. That great word, allegedly.
Okay, so Ms. Kennington, she's in trouble because it looks like she's incompetent.
Well, yeah, but I think the tone of the decision, because we've got to tell them what the Employment Relations Authority decision was.
What was it?
That they seemed to take it. She's a middle-aged woman who'd probably worked very hard. They thought that she was giving good evidence to say in 13 years, never anything's gone missing out of those files.
She might have been in her 30s and started when she was 18.
She might have been.
Anyway, carry on.
Well, of the age. Anyway,
I just wonder why she'd be a middle-aged woman.
So the authority decided...
Might have been a man.
Now, it doesn't matter, Karyn. Oh, is that week over? We've had that week, aren't we? It's Rainbow Week or something?
It is.
Right. So we can talk about these things. Anyway, what did the authority say about this?
Yep.
The authority in their wisdom... Well, I put question mark on that. It says, the employer who failed to retain a copy of the signed agreement cannot now seek to rely on the trial period provisions of the employment agreement to prevent Mr. Phillips bringing a claim for unjustified dismissal.
Oh, so it was modern transport in the poo.
And that's it. So what they're saying is, if they lost the agreement, tough luck, you can't enforce the trial period. Now, modern transport thought that was a pretty unfair decision and took it to the court. We need that music now. Dun, 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 dun.
And what happened? Okay, hold that thought. Hold that thought because I've got Steve on the line. Hi, Steve.
Hello.
Hello. It's not about this particular case. It's about your own circumstance, isn't it?
Yes.
Yep.
What's happened, Steve?
So the situation is that there's been an investigation by the police that's just initially underway. And my question is, at what point do you need to notify your employer? Is it when the questions have just been initially raised? Is it when and if charges are raised? And or if it progresses beyond that, do you need to let your employer know if you end up in court? And what happens either way? What are the
good
different
question.
scenarios?
Because this is a thing that comes up often. The answer to that is if the police matter was related to your work in some way. Now, bringing your employer into disrepute is something. For example, if you're an accountant and getting accused of fraud, that may be something you should be notifying your employer about early. If it's a traffic offence and say a DIC, drunken in charge, and you're not required to drive to work or use a vehicle in the workplace, it's probably you don't have to notify the employer. It's only when it becomes significant enough where it's going to affect your work. Now, if you've just got to appear or be a witness or something, it's really not your employer's business. You're going to need to take time off. They might want to know why, but you don't actually have to explain why. Can I have that day off, please? So it's really got to be related, Steve. And to give you solid advice, I probably would have to know what it's about, but I don't think you should maybe tell us on air.
But I would agree.
You can talk to Max. He'll talk to you free tomorrow.
0800 247 93 93. Give me a bell, Steve. Even after the show tonight, I'll be driving home. I'm happy to chat with you. So give me a call on 0800 24/7 93 93, and you can call me in my office, and it's free advice.
24/7 93 93.
Thank you. Yes,
that's the one.
Should I get him to repeat that? That was quite good.
You want to repeat that, Steve? No, he's gone.
He's gone.
Okay, so the day after Max is on, so on a Thursday, now that he is on weekly of the Your Employment Law, then he will give you advice just over the phone for free and take your calls at his office, which is great. And as you say, tonight as well. It's 14 after 8. I'm standing by talking about You Be the Judge. I'm looking at the judge who was the judge in the original Oscar Pistorius case.
Oh, yes.
And she is at the moment imposing a sentence upon Oscar Pistorius, and
it is?
She's not going to impose the 15-year minimum sentence. That's what we're up to so far. So You Be the Judge. She's got a big call. Why hasn't she come up with a decision? She's just drawing it out as she did in the first case, but we'll bring that to you as it happens. It's 8:15.
Alison Moore, Willie Jackson and you.
The New Zealand Dental Association a call for all schools to offer only water or plain reduced fat milk.
You can't stop a 7-year-old kid stopping at the dairy on the way to school.
We learned to make decisions of what was right to do, and we didn't seem to have this level of issue.
Most kids are stupid, and they'll drink whatever they want, and they'll eat whatever they want.
If they have access to it.
That's right. So stop trying to think that they've got the power to make the right decision. Most kids will make the wrong decision.
Afternoon Talk with Willie Jackson and Alison Moore. Weekdays from midday on RadioLive.
Is your throat sore? Try Difflam lozenges for free in your pharmacy. Free Difflam samples available at all pharmacies while stocks last. Read the label, use as directed. See your doctor if symptoms persist. Radiant Health Auckland.
Need panel work? Ali's Panel and Paint are the only panel and paint shop in Christchurch that gives its customers a free cut and polish. No matter what you book in for, whether it's a big job or a small job, Ali's Panel and Paint will spruce up your vehicle with a free cut and polish. Normally you pay $150 for a cut and polish, but at Ali's Panel and Paint it's absolutely free. So for your next panel and paint job, think of Ali and his free cut and polish service. Phone Ali today on 0508 Cut and Polish or see him today at 58 Whiteley Ave, Addington.
Darling.
Yes?
You know how we're going to the game?
Of course.
Well, it's just, I'd really love to get something new to wear with my jersey.
What jersey?
My rugby jersey. Of course, I've got one for you too.
Oh, get a move on, honey. We're going to Sally Max.
I knew that would work.
For fashion and outfits that work every time, dressed up or down, visit Sally Max, just 30 minutes from Northlands on the main road in downtown Amberley. It's just great fashion that works.
Own a rental property? Trust Ironbridge Property Management. Our 100% occupancy promise means your rent gets paid no matter what. Terms and conditions apply. Learn more at ironbridge.co.nz.
Hi, Hannah McQueen from Enable Me Financial Personal Trainers. When you're self-employed and running your own business, it's easy to let the little things slip away, like a financial plan. Whether you're just above water or making a good living, every business owner could do with a plan. And this is where we can help. As financial personal trainers, we've helped many self-employed Kiwis plan ahead to get ahead faster. So book a consultation today. Visit enableme.co.nz.
Hi, I'm Brian Williams, former All Black and ambassador for World Masters Games 2017. In April next year, thousands of everyday athletes from all over the world will touch down in New Zealand, ready to take on us Kiwis. Rugby is one of the 28 sports on offer, so I challenge you to get the team together and get out on the pitch. Don't just watch from the sidelines. Visit worldmastersgame2017.co.nz and get involved today.
FMG Personal Insurance covers the most valuable asset on the farm, you. Ask around about us, or better still, call us now on 0800 366 466. FMG, we're here for the good of the country.
Is your throat sore? Try Difflam lozenges for free in your pharmacy. Free Difflam samples available at all pharmacies while stocks last. Read the label, use as directed. See your doctor if symptoms persist. Radiant Health Auckland.
Canterbury
99.3, 89.9 FM.
RadioLive. Nights are better with Karyn Hay.
And I'm here with Max Whitehead and your employment law for the hour. And take advantage of this hour. It's your hour, 0800 844 747. It's an opportunity for you to ask any questions about employment law. There might be something happening at work. You might feel you're getting bullied, sidelined, being asked to do too much work, not getting a fair deal at work. Just anything that might be a reason, if you could afford it. Not that you're that expensive, Max. If you could afford it, to go to an expert on employment law and say, listen, what's the story? And just to give you that peace of mind, well, he's here until 9 o'clock. So ring 0800 844 747. You might not want to ring because you think, might hear me. So you can text 3920. The keyword is live. Leave a space and then compose your message, send it off to 3920. You can join me on Twitter and Facebook. They're a bit public too, though. KARYNHAY. You can email me at my show page at radiolive.co.nz. This is from Tony Max. Hi, can you clarify a problem with holiday/sick/stat holiday pay? Okay. Can you clarify a problem with holiday/sick/stat holiday pay? I'm a truck driver and I do the exact same job every night that averages a minimum of 11 hours a night, but we only get 8 hours pay for the holidays listed above. Is this correct, as the job physically can't be done in under 11 hours? Should we get paid 11 hours for the holidays? Thanks, Tony.
Well, there's a very easy answer. The answer is yes. It's the average or ordinary, whichever's the greatest. And you can, either one of those is going to get you 11. If you're doing it every night, 11 hours, so 11 hours pays what your day consumes. So you've been underpaid, Tony. Give me a call tomorrow. I'm dealing with another truck driver in a very similar situation, and he's got public holiday issues. So give me a call because you've been underpaid. First off, try your employer and say, look, I've notified, or I heard that guy on the radio saying that I should be paid the average pay or the ordinary, whichever is greatest. So your ordinary pay is what you ordinarily would receive. That's for your holidays. For your sick leave, it's the relevant daily pay. So that would be the same again. And any extras you get, like allowances and things like that, should be all paid with sick days and their public holidays. So you're getting underpaid here. And look, give us a bell. I wonder if the truckie industry's full of this because, as I say, I'm dealing with another one, and the employer seems quite put out that he was supposed to be paying rate and a half for a public holiday. So maybe it's a common issue through that particular industry. But I'm happy to, give me a call tomorrow, 0800 247 9393, and I'll give you some advice.
Very good. 22 minutes after 8. Hello, Craig.
Hi.
Hiya.
How's everyone tonight?
Good, Craig.
It's good. So I've been suspended from work without pay.
Wow.
As of today.
Does your employment contract enable that to happen?
I don't know.
Have a look, because they can't suspend you without pay unless your contract says so.
Okay, we've got a collective agreement that was negotiated through the union. They don't know. It hasn't been signed off as far as I know.
I'd be very, very, very surprised the union would allow that to go through. With suspension normally is on pay, but occasionally an employer will put it in without pay. I'd be very surprised if it's got a union one would have it in there. So I doubt that very much. I would say that you could put a claim in for pay.
Okay, so I got notified yesterday that I was brought up on a charge of misconduct in the workplace.
It's an allegation, is it? Yep.
Yeah. No details.
Oh.
And they just said, do you know anything about it? And I said, possibly it could be.
Oh, they described what happened, did they?
Well, I'm talking with a foreman, not a manager.
Yeah.
So this was yesterday at 3 o'clock. I work a night shift. So I've woken up and they've tried to contact me earlier in the day, but I've been asleep. So I'm about to start work, and they've just said, you need to turn up to a disciplinary meeting tomorrow at 4:30.
And you don't know what it's about?
I'm assuming, but they've given me no details, no.
Well, that's not good enough. If I was your representative, I would notify your employer immediately that this is almost entrapment, that before you offer any explanation, you want all the facts. So put all the allegations to me, the information that they have, ask for it to be presented to you before you're asked to provide any explanation. Now, there is a thing that initially that if you've been if you've been informed it's a disciplinary meeting, then they have an obligation to do that. But if they said we're just doing an investigation, there's a possibility they probably don't need to provide you all the facts, and maybe they just want a chinwag and just say, what do you know about it? But suspending you says that probably is more than just a chinwag.
Yeah, no, they've told me straight up as of 20, so I'll say 3 o'clock yesterday, that I have to turn up to this meeting, and I said, well, I can't. I'm going to need, because it's a disciplinary meeting, I'm entitled to have a support person there, and I need 25 hours is not enough time to get a hold of. I would like to bring a union representative along.
Right.
They've said to me today, because I'm not answering my phone, that I've been suspended without pay until further investigation or the meeting, until I turn up to the meeting.
Right. Is the union your representative? You're a member, obviously. So
I'm a member of the union, yeah.
I would think they'll be talking to your union, because they can't get hold of you. That's probably their obligation. I would think they have had long conversations with that union, and probably it's the right thing for them to do, and will be wanting to confront you. Your union should be saying to them also, hey, before we get Craig in, we want to know all the facts as well, so he's not coming in blind on this.
Yeah. As I say, I suppose I've been caught up in that entrapment, because I can only think of something recently that's happened, and there's been a discrepancy in hours that have been filled out.
I'll tell you what, Craig, if you're not happy with what the union do, you give me a call. I'm happy to help you out. 0800 247 93 93.
I'll give you a call tomorrow.
Thanks, man.
Thank you,
All
Craig.
right, thank you.
Ta-da. That's the sort of thing you can ask Max about, and that we don't know why he's been suspended.
No.
So,
I think he did, though. What he just alluded to, he had a pretty good idea. Oh, by the way, people, when you think about phoning me tomorrow, I've got a hearing in the morning and one in the afternoon. I've got 2 hearings I've got to go to in consecutive. So we'll be away a lot of the time, but I get a chance to check my phone messages between, and I'll call you back.
Very good. Well, let's go back to you, be the judge, very briefly. I know it's nothing to do with tonight, but with this judge in South Africa, the fact that she's back in the seat, Thokozile Masipa, with Oscar Pistorius, she gave him a manslaughter charge. The Supreme Court overturned it to murder, and she has just said to the court that there was a misperception. She spoke at length about what she called the misperception that Pistorius intended to kill Steenkamp, and the duty of the court to correct that view. Isn't that outrageous? That's quite outrageous.
She's trying to push her barrow, of course, and then the Supreme Court have pushed it back to her.
Overturned it to make it murder.
And she's come back and she's got to give sentence, and now she's trying to paint it the same way it was.
That she the first sentence that she put, well, not the sentence. Yep. She called it manslaughter, and she's trying to pull it back to that and say that the Supreme Court are wrong. He did not murder her.
You know what's going to happen is going to go back up to the Supreme Court again for the sentencing.
You'd have to say, wouldn't you?
Yep.
She might sentence him, but there'll be an appeal on that sentence just from what she's said. She's saying it now. This is going down as we speak now. So we've got our own. She
will go down in history. And the Supreme Court are supreme because they're the highest level court in their land. So they will override her. So what a waste of time, public money, everything on this.
Incredible. And the fact that the judgment came back to her. Yeah. After it was overturned, her initial judgment, because in South Africa, there's just the judge with a couple of helpers. They make their own decision. They don't have a jury. And
it is strange it went back to her. The person who's already shown their colours where they see it lie, and then they're saying, well, you go back and sentence. Well, it'll be a light sentence if it's her, you'd think.
She's saying she's not going to give him 15 years. She's already said that, but she's still talking.
You said before it was the minimum 15 years. Is it the maximum?
The states say it must be the minimum.
The minimum.
15 years must be the minimum, yeah.
And she's not going to give it
to him. He could get up to 15 years. They want, it is the minimum and the maximum for the state's case. Oh. They want 15 years.
Okay.
She's saying
no.
But she's not only saying that, she's also saying because the Supreme Court were wrong in effect. It wasn't murder. Incredible, isn't it?
Well, what a waste of money and time. And the whole world's waiting, for this decision, and it sounds like this is where it's going to land.
Yep. She goes on to say that being quick-tempered does not necessarily mean he's a violent person. That's what she said in the last 14 seconds.
Oh, goodness me.
So you be the judge. Let's go back to the 90-day trial period. We're coming up to a news update in a moment, but I hope everyone's still remembering what happened with Mr. Annan, Mr. Phillips and Ms. Kennington.
Shall I do a quick review? We've got time, or you want to go to news first?
We'll go to a news update and we'll come back.
Come back and do it. All right.
It's 8:30.
Radio Live. News Hub Update.
In the latest from News Hub, the judge in the Oscar Pistorius sentencing says she will not be imposing the 15-year minimum sentence. The Paralympic gold medalist is being sentenced after his conviction was upgraded to murder for the shooting of his girlfriend Reva Steenkamp back in 2013. Judge Masipa hasn't yet stated what term she will impose, but says there are mitigating factors outweighing the aggravating ones. And finally, fog restrictions have been lifted at Auckland Airport after affecting more than 170 domestic flights for nearly 12 hours. Around 160 domestic flights arriving at or departing Auckland Airport were called off today, and others were delayed amid the heavy fog. More Inside 30 or As the News Happens from News Hub.
Karyn Hay.
Thanks very much, Aroha. And of course, we will interrupt this hour and give you the sentence that Oscar Pistorius got, if only for the fact that this case has been so ongoing, so lengthy, just doesn't seem to end.
I'm tired of it, I've got to say. Absolutely tired of it. And, well, Oscar must be over it too, I'm sure. But, I mean, he must be sitting there with bated breath waiting for every word. And an hour goes by and every another word comes out. And he must be thinking, well, when is it? But, you know, no sympathy to him if he's guilty. But why? It just seems a stupid system.
Yes.
Why hand it back to someone who's already declared that he's
it was
not guilty?
manslaughter.
Yeah,
that's correct. And now is pushing her own barrow to make sure that everybody knows that that's what she still thinks. And then she's got the sentencing right.
It's a time in the sun, you see, but the world is watching and she's
back
got
again.
the whole world there listening.
Yeah, that's right. But, you know, overall, in all of this, let's go back to Reva Steenkamp because she has got no life.
Yeah.
You know, and her family are in that court now, and they've been through hell. Absolute hell. Anyway,
and that's another drawback for them. They've got to suffer this.
They've got to listen to this
And then if it does
again.
to go back up to the Supreme Court, it's another bit of torture for them. That's not fair.
It's not fair. Okay, talking about, I don't want to minimise that because it's obviously huge for the people involved, but we're just back on employment law.
Which is much more exciting, folks.
Well, it is if you're involved in it.
Absolutely.
Perhaps not exciting, but perhaps, you know, palpitations might be involved in it because it's stressful. Anything to do with employment matters can be very, very stressful, overtake your life. You become totally obsessed by, you know, is this going to be okay? You know, especially if you're relying on that income.
I was in a hearing today with a man who was my client, I've got to say, and it was dramatic enough, and he was handling it quite calmly. And he's of Iranian descent and mixed with Indian. He was an interesting guy. So he actually went back to Iran in the early days, and they grabbed him and said, "You're in the army." And he said he was, the Ayatollah was in power then, and they wanted him to do he was a shooter, and they wanted him to do something. He ran with three of his mates, and they went over the mountains, fleeing. If they got caught, they would have been shot. So he's telling me this story today, and I was thinking, how does employment law look now when you're actually been through what he's been through? He must have been terrifying months he did. He went right through into Afghanistan, then up through Afghanistan, back into India, and settled there for years and years.
So, but was he involved in an employment dispute?
Yeah, he was today. Yeah. I can't talk about that, but mind you, it's probably, I mean, it's so horrific to people, employment disputes. It really is. People are just suffering. A lot of people have breakdowns.
Yes.
And this man was playing it off, and I couldn't understand why he's so calm about it. But
that's why. Okay, so you be the judge tonight. And Mr. Annan offered Mr. Phillips a job. He gave him the contract. They signed it. They both signed it, this according to Mr. Annan, for the 90-day trial period provision in it. Mr. Phillips took his copy away, but 42 days into the 90 days, Mr. Annan said, "Sorry, you're terminated." Mr. Phillips immediately, that's a really key word, and when he dismissed him or said, "Sorry, we're not carrying on," he said, "Well, can I have a copy of my contract?" And Mr. Annan said, well, yes, he went off and got Ms. Kennington, and she she came back and said, your file, Mr. Phillips, is not in the filing drawer, and I sent you a copy of the contract. And Mr. Phillips said, no, never got it.
Never got it, and then he said it's missing. But what goes on further, there was evidence given by one of his colleagues who said that he claimed that he'd actually told him that, hey, I've got a copy of my own signed employment agreement. Have we got news coming up?
No.
No, okay.
I'm just listening, yeah.
Sorry. So he's got, he said he had a copy of it. So everyone's starting to really think that maybe Mr. Phillips had obviously taken his hand to it. So the question is, what the authorities said, well, tough luck if you lose the contract to the employer, it's non-enforceable. But it went off to the Court of Appeal after that. And that's what I'd like to get your views. Was the Employment Authority right or were they wrong? Because this is what we'll hear tonight.
844747. Got Alice Wilkins coming in from News Hub News Desk. Hi, Alice. How are you doing?
Karyn, how are you going?
Good. So you've come in with the sentence for Oscar Pistorius. Has it been handed down?
Just been announced. So Oscar Pistorius will serve 6 years imprisonment, we've just heard.
6 years?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, she halved it and then minused a few years. Or 1.5 years.
Yeah, so hopefully...
Wow, her family won't be very happy with that, would they?
Yeah, it's an interesting sentence. Obviously, this case has been ongoing. We'll have further details to follow in all of our news bulletins, but at this stage, 6 years imprisonment is the verdict.
Very good, Alice. Thank you very much.
The world to be in arms. I guarantee there's going to be... oh, goodness. I can imagine the response to that.
Alice Wilkins from News Hub, thank you for that, and we'll keep you informed as we go through the night what the response is, because especially given her the judge's comments before that sentencing in regard to her own views on the fact that it was, her own views regarding it being manslaughter.
Hey, it's very cool. I'm sitting right here. We just got this news just now. It's only broken in the last few seconds, and we've got that news and able to tell the listeners right away. I think it's very cool.
This is a news station, Max. 0800 844 747 is the number. Here, you got any employment law issues, please give us a call. Max is here till 9, and anything that, as I said before, just might be something that you're just mulling over and thinking, who's right, who's wrong, where do I stand in regard to this, but you haven't taken it as far to ask somebody or seek advice. And Anand standing by to take your calls.
Radio Live, your news, your views.
Joseph Parker! Fighting out of the blue corner, Joseph Parker, the mandatory IBF heavyweight challenger, versus Australia's toughest WBA number 12 and the PABA heavyweight champion, Solomon Hamono. 21 wins by knockout. Live at Horncastle Arena, Christchurch, Thursday, the 21st of July. Parker must get past Hamono to get to the world heavyweight title. The Burger King Road to the title on sale now. Tickets from just $49 at tickettech.co.nz.
If you live in Wigram, Lincoln and Hornby areas, getting an X-ray or ultrasound can often mean a half-day trek into town. Well, not anymore. Pacific Radiology Wigram is now open and ready to help you out. Handily located at the runway, Skyhawk Drive, they're fully equipped and able to cater to X-rays, ultrasounds and mammograms. To make a booking at the all-new Wigram Radiology, call 0800 2X-ray. That's 0800 869 729. Visit crg.co.nz for more info.
Our tight five. We've got me, Andrea, Jeff, the boys, 5 of us. Tight.
Pinnacle Life Insurance knows that if the unexpected happens, you'll want your family to stay tight and hold on to the special thing you have. The good news is, a $500,000 life insurance policy from Pinnacle Life will cost you as little as $8 a week if you're a guy, 40 and a non-smoker. Do it today. Go online to pinnaclelife.co.nz. Pinnacle Life. Keep your tight five tight.
Battery Town, if your battery is letting you down, there's only one place to go, and that's Battery Town.
Buy your Battery Town battery in July or August and be in to win a luxury escape for 2 to Fiji. There are 2 escapes to be drawn, staying at the 5-star Sofitel Fiji Resort and Spa, only at Battery Town. Terms and conditions apply.
There's only one place to go, and that's Battery Town.
For the best meat prices around, go straight to your Mad Butcher. This week our crumb beef schnitzel is half price, only $10.99 a kilo. That's right, half price crumb beef schnitzel, only $10.99 a kilo. Fresh Tegel chicken legs, only $4.79 a kilo. And backed by popular demand, our cheap milk special, 2 litre bottles of milk, only $2.50 each. Conditions apply. For these and more mad deals, get to your Mad Butcher today.
My Mad Butcher saves me more.
Hey guys, it's Dom Harvey here. Those who know me know that I'm passionate about one thing. That's my running. This year's big goal is going to Germany to run the famous Berlin Marathon. So excited about this. After that, it's the World Masters Games 2017 in Auckland. Regardless of your ability, the games are for everyone who loves sport. I'd love for you to join me on the start line. Visit worldmastersgames2017.co.nz to find out more. That's worldmastersgames2017.co.nz.
Canterbury
99.3, 89.9 FM.
Radio Live.
Nights are better with Karyn Hay.
It's now 21 minutes to 9, and I'm here with Max Whitehead, your employment law. Here's a sticky little question for you, Max.
Throw it at me. I can handle it.
Okay, it's regarding, Ben says, reference leave pay versus normal or average hours. I suppose that means holiday pay?
I would say so.
Okay.
Those are the only calculations that would be useful.
Okay, reference holiday pay versus normal or average hours. How long would the time be before the leave period to work out the average/normal hours worked? Yeah, how do you know what they are in order to calculate the money you might get in the holiday?
The technical side is the average or ordinary pay, whatever's the greatest. So the ordinary would be done like what you've ordinarily been receiving in the last few weeks before that. And I think
even if you've only been there a week?
Yeah, 4 weeks. Oh, a week. Well, if you've been there a week and you're on a if you're on a casual employment agreement, which says that it's going to be spasmodic, you can't rely on that. But if you've been there, say 3 to 4 weeks, well, then you could work out an ordinary pay. But if it's the average pay, then it's got to be calculated over a 52-week period, or whatever's, or less than that if it is less than that. So, for example, at the beginning of your work, you're starting off in $20 an hour. And then in the last few weeks, you got an increase to $25 an hour. Then your holiday pay will be in the average or the ordinary. The average will be closer to $20 an hour, where the ordinary will be $25 an hour. Your holiday pay will be higher, $25 an hour. That's how it works. And I think that's probably answered Ben's question, hopefully.
And Ben, you can just Google, if you really want to just spend a bit of time looking at it, you just have to Google Holidays Act 2016 NZ. Something like that.
Yep.
Make sure you're in New Zealand. The Holidays Act of 2016. You go through to the legislation, which is a reprint as of the 1st of April 2016. You go to a government website. You go to the contents. You go down to 9A, which is average daily pay, and it will give you the equation there.
Yep, it's a definition there and the Act. Look, if you want to go better, I mean, a good site for everyone to listen to, by the way, a lady told me off for saying this, the Department of Labour, but they still have a website up, it's DOL. It's not called the Department of Labour anymore, but there's a brilliant website for any questions like this at all, and you put in the questionnaire and they'll tell you, but particularly complicated ones related to calculation of holidays.
I'm still getting my head around spasmodic.
Is that a new word I've invented?
It's a good one. I like it. I do like it, though. It's really good.
I like the thing you gave me a tip before. This is a news station, Max. No, right. Yeah.
I didn't say it like that, did I?
Well, no, but I've got the point. I think it is. Yeah.
It would be wrong. It would be wrong if we didn't have that news, I would say.
I always wonder, why do people really want to hear the news first? They want to beat everyone to hear it first. And that's why I'm sitting here so proud, because I heard it first, microseconds before anyone else did.
Yes. Why?
People will go anywhere to get the freshest news, the sport, anything. It's belonging, they see it first.
I don't really mind if it's not first, but I want it to be accurate.
Yeah, that's probably prime concern. But you're a mature woman, intelligent woman.
Middle-aged.
Youthful.
Youthful, right. Anika Moore.
Well, how old are you, Karyn?
This is not the right hour for that.
No,
Mr.
I think
Whitehead.
the listeners would be interested.
They can look it up. Google it. Hi, is it Truck?
Yeah.
G'day, Truck. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. G'day, Max.
G'day, man. How you doing?
Oh, yeah, trucking along.
Trucking along.
Yeah, you made an interesting comment before about holiday days, loo days, public holidays, being paid an 8-hour period. I do the same thing. I drive 12 hours a night, 5 nights a week. If I have a sick day or a loo day, I only get 8 hours.
I don't understand. That should be irrelevant daily pay.
Yeah, well, you were saying whether it's right or not in the trucking industry. Is there any authority you can go to have this checked out?
Yep.
Or you've got to go through the whole process of making a fuss?
Yeah, good. Thanks for ringing, by the way, and it's really important. And I'm getting more convinced there is something in the trucking industry. They have an association which gives them advice. And Ken Shirley is probably part of that. He's an old ACT candidate from way back, but maybe a call for me to them. But where can you go? The Department of Labour, as I say, which no longer exists, it's called MIMBY, but if you go onto their website, it's got all this written down there that you could refer your employer to it. If they challenge you, you can say, hey, boss, I'm supposed to be getting my relevant daily pay for these payments, and look, this website actually says it is. But if not, you give me a call. What I do is I do it to a lot of people. I send off in an email, this is the section of the Act which is relevant. This is the law. There's no arguing. The law says this is how you calculate it.
Yeah,
but which is more important, you should get back pay.
Yeah. Well, I've been with the same company for coming up 5 years, and I've always been paid for 8 hours.
Yeah.
And just hearing you tonight, it's always been something I've been wanting to talk to someone about, but I just don't know who. And,
I'd like to know your thoughts on this. I'm dealing with another truck driver in a matter very similar to this, and he doesn't like to upset his boss, but he's going to. He's plucked up enough courage to threaten litigation unless he gets the payment, but it just disturbs the relationship, and they feel uncomfortable. Is that how you feel? Because you've been with him so long.
Yeah, I like my job, and I know, because I've seen it before in the company, you make a fuss, you're gone.
Yeah. And do you know what, then I've got a suggestion for you, and I do this on here quite a lot too, is gather your mates. So get 2 or 3 of you and say, look, this is what Max has said, this is the evidence we've got, I don't want to do this alone or I'll be target number 1. But if there's 3 or 4 of you, you're going to be much stronger. I sound like a unionist, don't I? It's a fact, though.
They did have their place,
yeah. Yep. And look, even if you need a mouthpiece, I'm happy to do that. You give me a bell and I'll be your mouthpiece for you.
Roger that.
Thanks,
thanks for that, Max.
Thanks, Drake.
Thank you.
See you later.
See you. 14 minutes to 9 on live. Still got 14 minutes to talk to Max. 0800 844 747. Yes, just going back to Oscar Pistorius, she left the courtroom very quickly after she delivered that sentence, but she said she would be available to hear an appeal today if it was required. She would come back and hear an appeal.
Isn't that opening the door? She knows what's going to happen, obviously. She's a very smart woman to be in that role. Would have to be, but what she's done is obvious. It's pretty obvious what's going to occur.
Well, apparently an appeal would not be available to Pistorius. But, if he'd got 15 years, there was no appeal available to him. But it might be possible for the prosecution to argue for an appeal if they thought the sentence was too lenient.
They've got to go. They've got to take it next. It's inevitable, isn't it? I don't know. I'm sure it is.
And the Steenkamp family are sitting in the room, no visible reaction, but his sister, Amy, left the court in tears, as you would imagine. But what she's done, Judge Masipa, is that she said there was substantial and compelling reasons to deviate from the 15-year minimum sentence. Sorry, Max, it was the minimum sentence for murder, citing as one factor the continuing misperception that Pistorius had intended to kill his girlfriend.
The continuing misperception when the Supreme Court's given a very clear message in terms of where it's got to go.
Yes.
Do you know, folks, one of my reasons I'm actually here and giving you who you be the judge, because we get some wacky decisions. It's things like this that makes people lose confidence in our judiciary system.
Yes, that's exactly right.
We all have a different opinion occasionally, but is this logical? It just doesn't make sense to me that she knows what's going to happen.
She thinks he's innocent. And so she was obviously livid that her culpable homicide, they call it there, which is the equivalent of manslaughter, was overturned to murder, and she's bringing it back.
So why did they put it to her?
Why did they put it to her? That's a good question.
Yeah, it's almost like you're going to get shown, lady, and you're going to have to curtail to our rules. And this is her pushing back. No, I don't.
Perhaps she was just rostered on that day. Who knows?
This is a high-profile, huge case.
Yeah, true.
But you would think a conflict of interest, or she should
a conflict of interest, absolutely.
She should stand up and say, I can't do this because I've conflicted with my views on this matter.
Because I went for culpable homicide.
But that's common sense. These people are supposed to have brains, I was going to say for Africa. Well, they do.
For South Africa.
Yeah, South Africa.
Right. It's 11 minutes to 9. 0800 844 747.
Paul Henry.
With Mark Sainsbury.
It's never a slow news day.
Radio Live.
Weekdays from 6 a.m.
Were you surprised? I mean, we keep thinking somehow it's got to stop. Yeah. But it doesn't.
One of the key drivers of this market is not so much speculative buy and sell people. It's people who have been preparing for retirement for the past 25 years, built up some savings. They're only going to get 3%, so they're buying houses instead.
Radio Live. Your news, your views.
Keith Urban, Ripcord World Tour. Saturday, December 3 at Westpac Stadium, Wellington, with Karyn Underwood. One show only. Get your tickets now at Ticketek. Keith Urban with Karyn Underwood, Ripcord World Tour.
Why not exchange Christchurch's busy streets for the peace and quiet of a home at Mackenzie Lifestyle Village in Geraldine? Geraldine is a pretty little place with easy access to urban centres as well as to the mountains and lakes of the Mackenzie country. You'll be surprised too at how much more you can buy for your money at Mackenzie Lifestyle Village. Call David Connolly now on 0800 84 55 24. That's 0800 84 55 24 and make a time to see it for yourself.
Always read the label and take as directed.
Steve's a good Kiwi bloke.
Hi, honey.
Loves sport.
Yes!
And takes family responsibilities seriously. He likes a few cold ones while he watches the match. But his wife finds that this makes his snoring worse. Which wasn't good for his marriage, if you know what I mean. Now Steve's found Sleep Drops Powder, essential sleep and stress nutrients to support great sleep and reduce snoring. Sleep Drops Powder, available in stores nationwide and at sleepdrops.co.nz.
Battery Town, if your battery is letting you down, there's only one place to go, and that's Battery Town.
Buy your Battery Town battery in July or August and be in to win a luxury escape for 2 to Fiji. There are 2 escapes to be drawn, staying at the 5-star Sofitel Fiji Resort and Spa, only at Battery Town. Terms and conditions apply.
There's only one place to go, and that's Battery Town.
I'm Debbie from Property Apprentice, New Zealand's leading property education company. We run free events to teach you how to invest like a professional, and we're coming to a centre near you. If you want to learn how to leverage your time, equity and money to create wealth and passive income without taking high levels of risk, you can't afford to miss this free 2-hour event. Leave your wallet at home. All you'll need is a head full of questions. To register, text TICKET to 244 or go to propertyapprentice.co.nz.
Joseph Parker! Fighting out of the blue corner, Joseph Parker, the mandatory IBF heavyweight challenger, versus Australia's toughest WBA number 12 and the PABA heavyweight champion, Solomon Hamono. 21 wins by knockout. Live at Horncastle Arena, Christchurch, Thursday, the 21st of July. Parker must get past Hamono to get to the world heavyweight title. The Burger King Road to the title on sale now. Tickets from just $49 at ticketek.co.nz.
Canterbury
99.3, 89.9 FM.
Radio Live.
Nights are better with Karyn Hay.
It's now 7 minutes to 9 on Live. Here's an email for you, Max, from Matt. What does e-stopped or legally barred by policy from claiming I was an employee mean? What does e-stopped, the letter E with a hyphen,
Estoppel,
or legally barred by policy from claiming I was an employee mean? This was in a statement of reply, and they're trying to deem me as a volunteer when I was employed. Hope that makes sense. Does that make sense to you?
The second part does because the volunteers things. If you're a volunteer, there are certain... you've already got a decision, I take it, or they're challenging the decision. What are they saying, Karyn? Does he have a decision?
Legally barred by policy from claiming I was an employee. This was in a statement of reply, and they're trying to deem me as a volunteer when I was employed. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, you keep going, because what the employer's doing is trying to escape employment law. If you're a volunteer, then the employer is not. You can't sue him or take an unjustified dismissal action against him or whatever you might want to do, because he's deemed an employee. And employees don't. You're not an employee, you're a volunteer, and volunteers aren't covered by employment law.
Okay, but if you're getting money, you're not a volunteer, are you? Doesn't it come down to the coin?
Well, I think that's the definition of it. You're getting a reward for actually work, and a monetary reward, obviously.
And not just a cup of tea at the Smoko.
Yeah, or maybe he's getting below the minimum wage. They're saying, I don't know, we're speculating here.
Okay,
but
Matt,
I think you're in a pretty good spot. It's immediate what employers would love to do is call you a volunteer. Many of them would.
Hello, Anne.
Hi, Karyn. Hi, Max.
Hey, Anne.
I'm working for this, an idiot. What it's true. I work in a call centre, okay. He's a bit of a bully person, but he called us in today, called us for me. If we do take time off from our shift, like go to the dentist and that, he asked to make up the time, and I don't worry about that. But when I said, well, what about when I'm sick? I've got sick days, so, he pays me for my 8 hours for my sick days. But he says, no, he wants us to make up the shifts. Now, can he do that? So I had 2 days off a couple of weeks ago because I had that flu. So now I've got to make up 4 shifts. We work 8 in the morning till 8:30 to 8:30. And sometimes our shifts are 11:30 to 8:30. Can he actually do that? I've got 6 days owing. Why would he want me to do 4 shifts? I've got to make up 4 shifts within 2 weeks of my pay.
Interesting. We'll come back again to your employment agreement.
It doesn't say anything in my contract
about making it up.
No. So if I have, if I say, look, I've got to go to the dentist and I'm taking a half a day or a day, yes, I make up those shifts. But if you're actually sick, 2 days, I've got sick pay owing to me. I've got my days, but he wants me to make it up. And I don't know. He's just.
And I think there's new laws being introduced. There's been a variation to the Employment Relations Act, and regarding shifts like this. I would think if your employment agreement doesn't require you to make up shifts, then you can't be forced to.
Okay, it does. If I say went to the dentist, okay, and I took a half day, I've got to make up that shift. But when you're actually sick, I thought that's what sick days were all about.
Well, again, it's back to your employment contract. If you've contracted and agreed to previously to make up any lost time, then you probably are required to do it. But you're right. In law, if you're sick, you're sick. You don't have to go to work when you're sick.
No.
Yeah, genuinely sick, I'm saying. But making it up is something that you have contracted to them to possibly do. I would check the wording of that pretty carefully if I was you. And you're welcome to send it to me if you want to have a look at.
Yeah, well, hey, thank you for your time, guys. I just thought, wow, what an idiot to work for, eh?
Do you know what? It's good when you call in, because it really lets other people who've got similar situations be able to hear this and actually be able to reflect on it and go, wow, am I fitting in that same category? And I bet you're not alone with this.
Oh, no, the people I work with, we need union to come in, but they seem to stop the unions coming into our building because he would probably go through a bit of a skate.
Oh, I bet.
He bullies us. He takes our chairs away. Makes us. We don't sit down until we've made a sale. And I'm 52. I've gone past that stage.
Right. Well, look, thanks very much, Anne. And look, I do appreciate you calling. And I reckon call centres could be a real target for people like me. So thanks.
Thank you very much, Anne. And we're now 3 minutes away from 9. I just want to find out with the You Be the Judge. What happened here was that the employer was in the wrong in the first instance because they didn't have
authority says if they lost the employment contract, tough luck means you can't enforce the 90. Yeah, lost or went missing.
So they appealed, and what did the court say?
The court said the fact is that if they could prove, and they did, that there was a contract, even though it's not a hard copy.
How did they do that? Did they find it on the computer or something?
No, they had enough evidence to show we did present him with a contract, had a 90-day because it was a common contract.
I wonder how they did that.
It's because they just took the evidence to say, well, under the balance of probabilities.
He was presented with the contract.
Because they used the same contract for everyone else, and it had a 90-day trial period, and they said it is enforceable. So the employer is no longer accountable for unjustified dismissal.
Gosh, so that went right around the houses,
the authorities' silly decision, yes.
Yeah, well, was it a silly decision? Because you'd have to prove that Mr. Phillips, in that case, was a thief, or he got someone to whip into Ms. Kennington's office and take his file, and that he did receive the contract, but he ripped it up.
It implies it all the way through, but doesn't say it, Karen.
No, I know.
They said even it was a witness he went to and say, "Oh, I've got my contract at home." Is that noise I can hear in the background? Does it mean I have to go
Time's
home?
up.
Oh, God, I was going to stay till midnight.
You can if you
You've
like.
had enough of me already.
In the other room. All right.
Keep your head down.
Thanks, Max. See you next week.
Goodbye, everybody. See you next week.
Radio Live with the latest from News Hub, Aroha Hathaway.
Kia ora, good evening. It's 9 o'clock. Oscar Pistorius has received less than half the standard minimum sentence for murdering his girlfriend Reva Steenkamp 3 years ago. Judge Masipa has delivered her judgment in the past half hour.
I think it was the 21st. My son was supposed to go, and I told him no, and I'm really glad I did, because I didn't like the fights that were always happening over there. So I told him, no, you stay home, and he's glad I told him no.
Apologies for the wrong audio there.
The sentence that I imposed on the accused for the murder dolus eventualis of the deceased, that is Reva Steenkamp, is 6 years imprisonment.
CNN's David McKenzie's been in the court in Pretoria and says Judge Masipa was clear about her reasons for not imposing a 15-year sentence.
A custodial sentence, meaning going to prison, a lengthy one, wouldn't be appropriate and wouldn't serve justice in this matter, according to her. She did say that she will remain in the court in case either side decides to appeal the sentence. We'll just have to wait and see.
And Pistorius could be eligible for parole in just 3 years. Back home, the government's rejecting claims by an aviation security whistleblower that overworked and under-resourced staff are missing potentially dangerous items. The officer says during what's called covert testing by management, only around 3 suspect items out of every 7 sent through the scanners and X-ray machines are being picked up. Transport Minister Simon Bridges says those numbers are not right, but won't say what the ratio actually is.
They're not the sort of numbers we're talking about. I reject that, and I think that, we've got a, by and large, very good, safe and secure system.
In a statement, AVSEC says it continues to explore opportunities to improve performance. A rugby team says it's deeply saddened by the loss of one of its own, a 21-year-old player, fatally beaten outside a Lower Hutt party. Police are now treating the death in Nainai last weekend as a homicide. Ginger lives next door to where the party took place and says it was frightening.
I think it was the 21st. My son was supposed to go, and I told him no, and I'm really glad I did, because I didn't like the fights that were always happening over there. So I told him no, you stay home, and he's glad I told him no.
A 27-year-old man has already been arrested and charged with assault. An event is being held at Parliament this evening to mark the 30th anniversary of the Homosexual Law Reform Act. A petition signed by more than 2,000 people calling for the government to apologise to gay men convicted for having consensual sex was tabled in Parliament today. Green MP Karyn Hay says it was difficult being gay, facing prejudice from employers and landlords.
We think probably there are hundreds still living today who have been living under the dark cloud that these convictions have imposed on their lives.
The petition seeking an apology for those living and deceased. Hundreds have turned out in Auckland to remember the 250 victims of the Baghdad bombing. More than 500 people attended the vigil in Mission Bay, which was organised by the Iraqi New Zealand community. The Sky Tower's also been lit up red, white and black, the colour of the Iraqi flag, and you can see it now that the fog has lifted. Fog restrictions have also been lifted at Auckland Airport after affecting more than 170 domestic flights for nearly 12 hours. About 160 domestic flights arriving at or departing Auckland Airport were called off today, and others were delayed amid heavy fog. It's 9:03.
News Hub on Radio Live with Team Hutchinson Ford. Visit them online at teamhutchinson.com. Now sport.
The return of Chiefs first five Aaron Crudens pushed Stephen Donald out of the 23-man squad for Friday's Super Rugby match against the Reds. Coach Dave Rennie stated the ability of Andrew Horrell and Damien McKenzie to cover multiple positions as the reason for the change.
We've got Damien who can cover 10, so we're pretty well suited there. Pozza just gives us a little bit more utility value, 12, 13, 15, and he played really well against Wales. We were keen to reward that and bring him back in.
Openside flanker Sam Cane switches to number 8 this week. Liam Meesham's been included on the bench. And Roger Federer remains on target for his 8th title at Wimbledon as he prepares for tonight's quarter-final match up against Croatian Marin Cilic. The Swiss third seed's yet to drop a set at this year's tournament, while a 6'6" opponent has always been in top form.
I practiced with him when I arrived here at Wimbledon, and he was playing great. He was just, 1-2, serving boom, forehand, serving boom, backhand. He's very aggressive. I mean, he blew me off the court at the US Open.
Andy Murray and Joe Wilfried Tsonga also feature in the round of 8 on centre court tonight. It's 9:04.
News Hub Sport on Radio Live with Harcourt's Grenadier REAA 2008, Canterbury's largest and most trusted team.
Is it a roast bird? Is it a plain yogurt? No, it's Stickman, bringing you super deals on our super duper birthday. Whoosh! That's the sound of me flying away. Pack and save super duper birthday deals in store now. Ba-ba-ba-ba!
Radio Live is responsible for maintaining the highest standards in broadcasting. If you feel we have breached these standards, either on air or online, visit our website to learn more about the complaints process or send a complaint to the Standards Committee. Private Bag 92624, Simon Street, Auckland.
Yeah! It's finally open! Shooter Supplies Hornby is now open with grand opening savings. Get to Carmen Road Hornby for the hottest deals on clothing, packs, cookers, ammo, and everything for the hunt and the outdoors. Check out over 300 firearms on display, plus new products from Stony Creek, Hunter's Element, and much, much more. Hunt out a bargain with up to 50% off all products at our grand opening sale while stocks last. Shooter Supplies, 64 Carmen Road, Hornby, right next to Burger King. Shootersupplies.co.nz.
Radio Live, Canterbury, 99.3 FM. Weather.
For the top half of the North Island, areas of cloud or fog turning to rain and then heavy falls for the rest of the North Island, some patchy rain. For the top of the South Island, fine, and then some rain moves in. For the lower South Island, the opposite, rain, which is gradually clearing. Radio Live Christchurch, weather mostly fine, increasing cloud, light winds and a low of 1. Looking ahead, often cloudy with some fine breaks in the afternoon and a high of 11.
It's Karyn Hay.
Thank you very much, Aroha, and thanks again to Max Whitehead for that hour on employment law. I won't see Max for a few weeks, actually. I'm on holiday for 3 weeks from the end of this week, and Mike Peru will be looking after the show while I'm away, so Max will be talking with him for the next 3 weeks. I think I'm back on the week of the 1st of August. But on tonight's show, are you shocked by that sentencing? I was shocked by that sentencing because I followed that case very closely with Oscar Pistorius, and especially given that the judge, Thokaseo Masipa, when she found Pistorius guilty of culpable homicide, which is the equivalent of manslaughter, that in itself was contentious, and there was an appeal, and the Supreme Court overturned that decision of hers, and this woman was strongly criticised by South Africa's Supreme Court for making fundamental errors and ignoring key evidence during the trial, and there were 5 of them. In the case with her, when she presided over it, she was the sole judge and she had some assistants on either side of her. But the Supreme Court, there were 5 of them, a 5-judge bench, and it was presided over by Judge Leach, Eric Leach, and he basically threw her verdict out, replaced it with murder, and said that she made multiple errors in law in her ruling, and that it was a human tragedy of Shakespearean proportions, this case, and there were so many criticisms of her errors. They went on in this Supreme Court ruling that they really took her to task over that, and she was publicly humiliated. If that's your job and you were the judge there, you could imagine how she felt about that after she had been on that international stage for so long. And she did become an overnight, well, it took longer than overnight, but she became an international sensation, that judge, Thokasiel Masipa. We listened to her going on and on and on and on. It just took forever. So it was such a twist that when the Supreme Court made it into murder, that she should come back, and then she is the judge who is going to sentence him. How long will he get, Oscar Pistorius, now that it's murder, even though I said it was culpable homicide? And she listed today in court, just in the last hour, she said that the mitigating factors, she'd considered the aggravating and mitigating factors, and she'd concluded that the aggravating factors outweighed the former. She listed the mitigating factors: that he was vulnerable on his stumps, that he believed the person in the bathroom was an intruder, that he immediately took steps to save Reeva Steenkamp's life, and she believed that he was genuinely remorseful. So she went back on her first decision and then basically put the finger up to the Supreme Court and gave him 6 years. He looked like he was a relieved man when he was sent down, but he could be out in 3 years. So just wondering what your views are on that and the motivation behind that. And that could happen anywhere in the world, of course, but do you agree with, and I think this will be widely discussed right now, the prosecution will be reeling, and of course they'll want to take an appeal as we go through tonight. There's no way they're going to let this drop, do you think? Or we'll hear as we go through the night that there'll be an appeal, and she said she'd take it. 0800 844 747. Meanwhile, back home, a couple of stories that caught my eye. There might be something that you would like to talk about, and of course, very happy to take your calls on any subject. But because in New Zealand there are increasing rates of animal abuse, a group of dogs have become a star attraction of this new education program, which is aimed at lowering the high rates of animal abuse. And it's based on research that shows that children who mistreat animals often grow up to be violent.
The most effective way to achieve behavioural change is to work with 7 to 12-year-old children. So we're looking at increasing empathy and compassion in the next generation of New Zealanders.
That's got to be a good thing, doesn't it? What a good idea. Good on you. And today, the 30th anniversary of the Homosexual Law Reform Bill, and 2,000-strong petition wanting apologies to gay men living and deceased, who had been convicted. Now they would not be convicted. And a petition that isn't very huge in terms of numbers to reverse homosexual sex convictions, but very meaningful to those families of those who are deceased and those who are still living with that conviction. But Amy Adams says that squashing these pre-1986 convictions for sex between two men would require a case-by-case investigation. It would prove to be too difficult. I tend to agree with that because there was a time when whether it was forced upon somebody or consensual, it was still lumped into the same thing. There was no differentiation between that. And so therefore you would have to go back to each of those cases and try to prove it. And it's just almost impossible to do that in my mind. I can understand why they want to do it. And a famous New Zealander, Frank Sargison, a literary giant in New Zealand, he was arrested for having a series of homosexual encounters during the late 1920s and died with that on his record. So very, very difficult for those men who had lived with that. And I wonder if you know how, in fact, they knew that they were having consensual sex. You know, did people dob them in and say, well, there are two people here, two men here, who it wasn't the same for women, wasn't the same, wasn't illegal. So was it a situation, if you were around, if you were alive then, that how did that come to the attention of the authorities? 0800 844 747. Plenty to talk about, and I've got a few more subjects I'd like to bring up as well. But Anna's standing by to take your calls. It's 13 after 9.
Paul Henry with Mark Sainsbury.
It's never a slow news day.
Radio Live.
Weekdays from 6 a.m.
Your solution to them threatening to not be there and disrupt your service is to actually lock them out of the airports.
In part, we're looking at activating our contingency plan. Putting it bluntly, that means bringing in people from elsewhere to do the work that those workers would otherwise be doing. Our intention being to minimise the disruption to the travelling public and to continue assuring the security of aviation services.
Radio Live, your news, your views.
Faster than a runaway trolley. More powerful than a pack and save truck. It's Stickman, bringing you super deals on our super duper birthday. Pack and save super duper birthday deals in store now. Ba-ba-ba-ba!
Experience the best for less with genuine Mercedes-Benz parts and trained technicians. For a limited time, book a Mercedes-Benz fixed price A service from as little as $249. Visit your authorised Mercedes-Benz dealer today or call 0800 320 300. Conditions apply.
If you live in Wigram, Lincoln and Hornby areas, getting an X-ray or ultrasound can often mean a half-day trek into town. Well, not anymore. Pacific Radiology Wigram is now open and ready to help you out. Handily located at the runway, Skyhawk Drive, they're fully equipped and able to cater to X-rays, ultrasounds and mammograms. To make a booking at the all-new Wigram Radiology, call 0800 2X-ray. That's 0800 869 729. Visit crg.co.nz for more info.
Oh, what a pain in my claim.
Oh, not another claim pain. Oh, that's my claim.
Take the pain out of your claim with Laycock's Collision Repairs. Just call 0800 Laycock's. They're pre-approved and recommended by all insurance companies and will assist you with all aspects of your claim. And rest assured, Laycock's Collision Repairs will go to great pains to get your vehicle in tip-top shape. Epsom Road, just near the Sockburn roundabout, or call 0800 Laycock's. Taking the pain out of claims since 1924.
Hi, Mark Holmes. It's all in the name.
Hi, Warren Whelan from Hallmark Homes. With over 35 years building experience, you can trust that I'll deliver you an award-winning custom design home. To see how, visit our Hallmark Homes show home at 36 Napier Drive, Wigram Skies, Thursday through to Sunday, 12 till 4, or otherwise by appointment. For high standards and high value, visit highmarkhomes.co.nz.
Hallmark Homes.
Joseph Parker! Fighting out of the blue corner, Joseph Parker, the mandatory IBF heavyweight challenger, versus Australia's toughest WBA number 12 and the PABA heavyweight champion, Solomon Hamono. 21 wins by knockout. Live at Horncastle Arena, Christchurch, Thursday, the 21st of July. Parker must get past Hamono to get to the world heavyweight title. The Burger King Road to the title on sale now. Tickets from just $49 at tickettech.co.nz.
The BNZ Crusaders win on home turf more than any other team. A testament to you, the home supporters. So to reward loyal fans, BNZ are hiding $25,000 under the turf at AMI Stadium for one lucky winner to spend on their own home.